Welcome back. Today we're going to continue with the partial products multiplication, and we're going to add another digit. We're going to add a tens digit to our second factor. So last time we were working with numbers that looked like this, in the hundreds times a one place in the second factor. Now we're going to be working with factors that are both at least 2 digits large. So think about it as, in this case, 2 times 1 and 2 times 60, and 10 times 1 and 10 times 60. That's 10 60s, 10 1s, 2 60s, and 2 1s. I'll go through exactly what that means, but here's another way to look at it. If you have 12, that's like having 10 plus 2. And if you have 61, that's like having 60 plus 1 here. And if you look at this method with an array, 10 times 60 is 600, 2 times 60 is 120, 10 times 1 is 10, 2 times 1 is 2. And then you add these 4 all together, and you'd get your final product. Now, how many partial products are you going to have? Well, remember, I gave you this tip last time. If you have, let's say, 36 times 42, you can count how many digits are in this and how many digits are in this. And that's 2 digits times 2 digits, so you're going to have 4 partial products. Alright? And if you have like 123 times 5, that's 1, 2, 3 digits times 1, so it's going to be 3 partial products. And so for this first one, it would be 30 times 2, 30 times 40. 6 times 2, 6 times 40, right? That's 4 of them. This next one would be 100 times 5, 20 times 5, 3 times 5, right? So sometimes it's handy to figure out how many partial products are going to be in there so that you can make sure you don't miss any. If that's still going over your head, if you're scratching your head and saying, what the what? It's okay. We're going to practice some more, and you're going to get more practice time before you're expected to do this on a test. Don't worry. So this is a sample problem. We're going to go back to our expanded form, and we're going to call this 10 plus 4, and we're going to call 20 plus 3. Now eventually you can do it in your head, and you don't have to write it out like this, but in the meantime it's very helpful to write it out. Now remember, we're going to take the 3 times the 4 and that 3 times the 10. But we are also going to be multiplying another number on the bottom, 20. So we're also going to do 20 times 4 and 20 times 10. I could say that looks symmetrical, looks like a butterfly, but it is also looking a little complicated. So last time we did something that we're going to do a little differently this time. And that was writing out the digit ahead of time, the factor down here. So we're going to write this again, 3 times 3. And then we're also going to write the other one now, 20 and 20. Because we're going to write the 3 times the 4 and the 3 times the 10. So this digit here times both of the top digits. And then we're going to take this other one down here, 20, and multiply that by the same 2. Notice that they're actually the same ones. So a 4 and a 10, a 4 and a 10, right? And then we're going to get the answers to those, and that's how we're going to come up with our final product. So this is equal to, that's a bad color, 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Remember to line up your columns. 3 times 10 is equal to 30. 20 times 4 is equal to 80. And 20 times 10, remember it's just 2 times 1, which is 2, with 2 zeros after it, is 200. Now, I know I did that quickly, but you will notice that these are neatly lined up in place value columns like this. And it might help for you to use graph paper when you're doing it, or remember, you can take a piece of line paper and just turn it sideways, and you have built-in columns. Now we just add these together. That's 8 plus 3 plus 1 is 12. Carry the 1. 3. 322. But I didn't do an estimate, so let's do an estimate. So 14 is about 10. 23 is about 20, so 10 times 20 equals 200, or hundreds. That's my estimate. And look, my answer's in the hundreds, so I probably did it right. All right, let's do it again over here. There are 3 digits on top, there are 2 digits on bottom. 3 times 2 is 6, so we're going to have 6 partial products. So with these problems, sometimes you need to leave a lot of room. And so let's rewrite this as 100 plus 20 plus 5. So right now you're just following along, but in your head you could be trying to think ahead of me. 13 is 10 plus 3. So this is a step we didn't do yesterday. We didn't have expanded form on the bottom one. Well, we're going to have 6 partial products. And I'm just going to make a little line here. We're going to have 3 times 5, 3 times 20, 3 times 100. Right? So that takes care of that, that, and that. And then we're going to have 10 times 5, 10 times 20, 10 times 100. Because whatever we did the first time, we have to do now too. So 10 times 5, 10 times 20, 10 times 100. Now we have 6 partial products. So with big problems, this method does take a while, and it would definitely benefit you to learn how to do the traditional method, which we will be working on next time. But in the meantime, we'll write the products to these. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 20 is 60. 3 times 100 is 300. 10 times 5 is 50. 10 times 20 is 200. And 10 times 100 is, well, let's see, 1 times 1 is 1, and then we have 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 1. Wow, that's a lot to add together, but it should go quickly. That's 5. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 2 is 6, and 1. Now, what was my estimate? It's about 100 times 10. Because 125 is about 100, 13 is about 10, and that's 1,000. So my estimate was going to be thousands. That's what I would circle. And my answer is in the thousands. That worked out very nicely. So you're going to use this information and this method to do some story problems. Now you have 2 journal pages today. And I might add, do you have a 2-page study link? No, some study links are 2 pages. I guess this one isn't. So you're going to follow these steps for each problem. A, decide which 2 numbers need to be multiplied to give the exact answer, and write the 2 numbers. Okay, so this is where you'll write the 2 numbers. B, estimate whether the answer will be in tens, hundreds, thousands, or more. Write a number model and circle the box. So you write the number model and circle the box here. And then C, on the grid below, and the grid is this thing here, remember, find the exact answer by multiplying the 2 numbers and write the answer. And then you write the answer here. This seems like a lot to do. That's because it is a lot to do. But you know what? You can do it. You're smart, you're hardworking, you're good at math, plus you got a good teacher. So let's try this first one out together. The average person in the United States drinks about 61 cups of soda per month. How many cups of soda is that per year? We do need to know how many months are in a year. And I happen to know 12 months equals 1 year. So that'll help. So our 2 numbers, we're going to have 61 cups times 12 months. Okay, so 61 times 12. That'll be my exact answer. Now the estimate, we're going to do a number model. That's about 60. 12 is about 10. We can do that easily in our head. So that's 6. And then add those 2 zeros. So 600. And I circle down here in the hundreds. Okay? My answer should be in the hundreds. Now for the exact answer, it says to go use the grid below. So we're going to do 61 times 12 down here. 61 times 12. And I'm going to remind you how we do it. First we do expanded form. That's equal to 60 plus 1. 12 is equal to 10 plus 2, and then there are going to be 4 partial quotients here, or partial products. There's going to be 2 times 1 and 2 times 60, and let's start with those. 2 times 1, 2 times 60, and then there's going to be 10 times 1 and 10 times 60. And we'll do that here, 10 times 1, 10 times 60. You see, if you're organized about how you lay this out, it makes it so you don't miss things and you don't make silly mistakes, or any mistakes. Alright, let's come up with our partial products. 2 times 1 equals 2. 2 times 60 equals 120, 12 with a 0. 10 times 1 equals 10. 10 times 60 equals a 6 with 2 zeros, 600. That's all 4 of them, so we add them together. 2, 3, 7, and our estimate was in the hundreds, and our answer is in the hundreds. Now I just go back up and write the answer here, 732. It's pretty close to my estimate, so I'm guessing it's correct. And wow, and when you want to check your work, you just have to turn to the next slide in our slideshow, and it has an answer key. Well, there certainly was a lot to do there, wasn't there? Luckily, there are only 4 problems in the book. So I'm going to let you do number 2, and we're going to jump ahead to number 3, because it gets a little more complicated, and I want to walk you through that one. A test found that a light bulb lasts an average of 63 days after being turned on. How many hours is that? Well, for that you have to know how many hours are in a day. And I happen to know that there are 24 hours in a day. I think you knew that too. So the numbers we're using are 63 times 24. And let's look at, I'm going to tell you what, I'll go through this with you. That's fine. If you want to try it on your own, why don't you press pause now, go ahead and do it, and then you can come back in a moment. Okay, here we are. Our estimate is going to be 60 times 20, because 63 is close to 60, 24 is close to 20. That equals 12, and then add the 2 zeros. That's 1200, 1200, so our estimate is in the thousands. So now we're going to go down to this grid at the bottom, and we're going to solve 63 times 24. Here we go, 63 times 24. And we're going to use that partial product. So 63 becomes 60 plus 3. 24 becomes 20 plus 4. And then, let's do a little line here. We're going to do our the loops. 4 times 3, 4 times 60. Why is that so hard to read? 4 times 3, 4 times 60. And then let's do 20 times 3, 20 times 60. 20 times 3, 20 times 60. There are 4 of them all together. Let's solve them. We have 12. We have 24 with a 0, so 240. 20 times 3, which is 6 with a 0, 60. And then 20 times 60, which is 12, and then add 2 zeros, 1200, or 1200. Notice that my 1 is all the way over in its own column, the thousands. Now I get 2 here. I get 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 6 is 11, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 5, and then 1. So 1512. And then I look at that, is that close to my estimate? Yeah, it's very close. And my estimate was thousands, and my answer's in the thousands, so I'm probably pretty good. Okay, so go ahead and do number 4 also, and the answer to it is on the next slide, so you can check yourself. But I will tell you, it says per day, and then it asks how many gallons per year. We're going to use the number 365 days to represent a year. We're going to assume this is not a leap year. So 365. 78 gallons of water per day times 365. Okay? So you go ahead and give that a shot, and if you have trouble, you can ask your teacher during math time. You could send a message, or you can look at page, let's go back up here, 17 or 18 or 184 in your student reference book. So that's how you do the larger partial products multiplication problems. Your student reference book explains it on page 18, and you can look in there and get another explanation. This is what you're going to do tonight, your study link. It says multiply using the partial products algorithm. However, I want to remind you, if you're stressing out, if the partial products algorithm is driving you absolutely crazy, if you know another method, maybe it's the lattice or the box or the area method, maybe it's the traditional algorithm, the old-fashioned method, go ahead and use it. I just want you to be familiar with partial products. If you prefer to use a different method for this, go right ahead. However, a calculator does not count as a method. So you're going to do all 8 of these problems, and then there are some practice addition and subtraction at the bottom. Remember to borrow. And I'll get you started here. 582 times 7. So remember, we rewrite this with expanded form. I'll just give you another example. This looks more like yesterday's with a single digit. And then we're going to have 7 times 2, 7 times 80, 7 times 500. Now I want you to notice, sometimes I made a line here, sometimes I write equal sign. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as you can keep these separate from the actual work over there. I like to do things different ways, different times, keep things fresh. So 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 8 is 56 with a 0. 7 times 5, well, you know what? I'm going to let you finish the problem. You get the idea. I will do one more. I'll do number 6 with you, because I want you to see how this works. So we'll write this over here. 340 times 50. I know, it's your homework though. I'm going to make you do the work on your own. So for this one, it's a little different because there are some zeros. So for this one, we'd say that's equal to 300 plus 40. We don't need to do anything in the ones place. And then down here, we don't say 50 plus 0, we just say 50. So it's a long problem, but it's actually an easier problem because there are only going to be 2 partial products. There's going to be 50 times 40, and there's going to be 50 times 300, which should actually be pretty easy for you because we know that rule about extended facts. So this is 5 times 4, which is 20, and then 2 zeros. Put the zeros first and then the 20. This is 5 times 3, 15, plus 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. 15. And then you add them together. I'm not going to do it for you. You're the math student. You do the work. And then these ones, remember, are a little harder. Try this. Always means it's a little more difficult. But I have faith in you. I know you can do it. Just give it your best shot. And remember, tomorrow you'll be able to check your answers during the lesson. Okay, so have fun with this assignment. Here is your homework. Math study links and math boxes. And you can check in with your teacher if you have any questions, or look at page 18 in your student reference book, which explains it all in another way. Thank you and have a great day.